Hello and welcome. This is Trevor Crow. The show is Trevor and Friends. It's a very hot day right here in Greenwich, Connecticut. Sitting with me in the studio right now is Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysiewicz. She's an attorney. She's been a politician. She's our 109th Lieutenant Governor, which I just looked that up, was Secretary of State from 1999 to 11 and CT Rep from 93 to 99, which I actually didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was a state rep before I was Secretary of the State.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. So Susan is visiting with us today. We want to talk about what happened in this last budget session. And there's been a lot of really important initiatives that got passed. So can you just start with your top two that you really were interested and excited about?
Well, I'm always interested and excited to have a balanced budget. So we wrapped up our 8th balanced budget on May 6th. It's a challenge every year, but this year I think particularly so because everyone's struggling with utility costs going up, gas prices going up, price of food. So there was a lot of inflationary pressure and budget pressure, but we did get our 8th balanced budget done. We paid down now, all told, $11 billion in pension debt, which had been ignored for decades prior to us coming into office.
Like 70 years of ignored.
Yes. So we're proud of that because it actually saves more than $800 million a year. So you get nearly $1 billion extra. It's like paying down your mortgage early, right?
It's a beautiful.
You have more money available to invest in the things that uplift people like education, job training, and healthcare. So I was very pleased with that.
Very impressive. I just want to put something in there. The 800 million is the savings and interest rate payments, correct? So people really understand paying down that debt literally frees up real cash dollars that go
800 million plus.
That's very impressive.
Yep. No, and I think people should know that because we have been extremely fiscally responsible. I'll add that we have $4 billion in our rainy day fund. It's one of the most robust in the country. And it's because we've lived within our fiscal guardrails, right? And so that fiscal leadership that Governor Lamont has provided in partnership with our legislative colleagues has been transformational for our state. And there's a couple of things in the budget that I think are important to highlight. So the governor put in an additional $170 million for education for every town in the state. Every town got more education funding and every town got more municipal funding. So there was $170 million for more education funding and $100 million for municipal funding. And why was that? Well, we went into the fiscal year saying, hey, governor wanted to give a $400 rebate to families.
Right.
And a $200 rebate for individuals, recognizing gas prices, utility prices, grocery prices. He thought that would be good. However, what we ended up doing was using almost $300 million to invest in property tax relief because we thought that that would be more impactful for families than just sending a one-time check. So many of our CEOs, our mayors, our first selectmen, didn't matter if it was in a rural area, an urban area, Fairfield County, central Connecticut, every municipal official was struggling as they were putting together their budgets. And so we thought the most effective thing that we could do to prevent huge property tax increases was to allocate almost $300 million to education and municipal funding.
So important. So, and again, this is a hard thing to sort of get your head wrapped around because the tax rebate seems really nice. It's great to get a check in the mail, especially if you're a governor and you're going to run again. You know, people will be like, oh, okay, got a check. But this is actual direct investment into our communities, both the schools and municipals. It takes a little bit more of thought process to really get through that. And I hope everybody listening right now appreciates
and
that.
I would think about it in this way that, yeah, you could get a check if you're an individual for $200. But if you own a home and the municipality hiked up the property taxes, that would probably be much better not to have your taxes go up than to have this one-time check.
So absolutely. But this goes back to the sort of the origination of this conversation, which is the fiscal responsibility. What you have done over the 8-year period. There's so two terms we've had, Governor Lamont and you, balancing a budget 8 years in a row.
8 years in a row.
Full rainy day fund, $4 billion.
Paying down debt.
Huge. So what would you guys do in a third term? You've already done all this. What's next?
Okay. So one of our accomplishments was in this budget providing free breakfast to our K through 12 students. We have 500,000 students in our public schools. And a year ago, we had proposed both breakfast and lunch. Didn't get through the legislature. This year, with bipartisan support, we got universal breakfast. So every school child and public school kid in the state is going to have a healthy breakfast. And next year, we will be making sure that they also have a universal lunch as well, because no school child should be hungry in a classroom, right?
No. And it's very hard to learn if you're hungry.
Behavior issues happen. There are attention issues. There is so much better student behavior, student performance, and it's good for families, right? It helps make life more affordable, and it takes the shame away for the kids who would skip lunch because they couldn't afford it, right? So
important, Susan. I love that. So a lot of this is a response to so many federal cuts.
Oh my goodness, yes. And so our budget has addressed these federal cuts in a bunch of different ways. So the big, beautiful budget bill that was passed cut Planned Parenthood more than $10 million.
Boo hiss.
Yes. They're based in New Haven, but they have offices all around the state. We funded them with $10 million in this budget.
Beautiful.
UConn was cut $95 million in federal research grants and aid. Now, we couldn't backfill all of that, but we did provide $30 million additionally for the grants and research around cancer research, dementia, nutrition, so many important things.
God.
Yes. And really important because UConn is a huge employer. Graduate students and professors are doing that important work. And guess what? It also gives so many people hope. You know, all the work they're doing around cancer research and preventing dementia is huge. And I like knowing that there are really smart people working on those important issues right now.
And I love that you're funding it. And it is scary that we're cutting funding because we have been out in the forefront in this research throughout the globe for decades. And what we're doing is really ruinous, I believe. But at least as a state, we're staying up in the front. Now, part of what you guys have shown us is, and I think a lot of people don't understand this, but Connecticut is the 4th fastest growing state economy in the country.
Isn't that amazing? We need to get the message out.
Beautiful.
Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for pointing that out.
And I think another thing that most people don't understand is the U.S. is the most productive workforce in the world. And Connecticut actually has the 4th most productive workforce in the country.
And it does because we have the highest number of people per capita that have 4-year degrees and graduate degrees. It's our smart people that power that productivity. So I want to mention a couple of initiatives. We've created an AI Academy in Hartford, and we're partnering with Google to do that because AI is going to change what our workforce does and how it does it. Also, we have an initiative with both Yale and the University of Connecticut on quantum physics, which is very transformational. So we have innovation that's happening in a very big way. And I think one of the reasons that our economy is growing so quickly is we have these smart people that are focusing on these huge things like AI and quantum that are moving our state forward.
It's really something we need to be proud of as a state, and I think we need to point this out. And for me, the basis is this you're funding schools, kids in schools, breakfast, etc. So our kids are able to learn. They're getting support. They're getting a great education system.
And you were asking, okay, what are your initiatives going forward? So another one is with respect to education. So there's an educational cost sharing formula that has existed for decades. That is how education money is doled out. Clearly, that's not working. If we have to step up and say, okay, we're going to provide another $270 million to towns for education and aid, clearly that funding needs to be reformed. We can't have Band-Aids. And so the governor has established a commission to take a look at it. And that is a huge part of what we're doing because we know that every municipality in the state spends anywhere from 65 to 85% of their budget on education.
It's so huge.
This is got to be fixed. So that's on our agenda. Also, healthcare is huge. Now, we were talking before just a minute ago about federal cuts. So one of the cuts in the big beautiful bill was to subsidies for the Affordable Health Care Act premiums. So what we've done is we've said for the most vulnerable, for 2/3 of the people who are on the ACA health insurance program in Connecticut, that we made up those subsidies so that premiums were flat. That was huge. And we have more people on the ACA right now than we've ever had. So it shows it's a message to the federal government, hey, we need that. And we need the subsidies because healthcare is a basic right. Everyone should have it.
Yes.
So the governor has proposed a Connecticut option. And we will, over the next year, be looking at how can we get more people part of our state health insurance plan. Right now, we have more than 250,000 people. They're current state employees, retirees, and their families on this program, and folks who work for municipalities. So how can we expand that to get more people who don't have health insurance on our program and make it affordable? And this is key also because the University of Connecticut Health Center has taken over 2 hospitals, Waterbury Hospital, Day Kimball in Northeastern Connecticut. Those were at risk. Also Bristol Hospital going under. And now UConn Health Center is helping them keep their employees and provide really great quality care.
Beautiful.
And so our Connecticut option, we hope, is going to expand healthcare for people across Connecticut. So
that's another thing. Would love to see that. Okay, so I could go on the initiatives forever, but I do want to pay attention to a couple of things that were very important to you in this legislative session.
Yes.
And one of them is interesting, scalp cooling. I didn't know much about this, and when I started reading up about it,
when we start talking about it, people will go, "Oh, I know what that is." So okay, so this is a treatment to allow people to keep their hair when they go through chemotherapy. And we know as women, 1 in 8 women are probably going to get breast cancer. Women, of course, have very high levels of lung cancer as well. It's one of the most prevalent cancers. So unfortunately, both men and women, when they're undergoing cancer treatment, often do not have $5,000 available to pay for scalp cooling treatments.
Wow.
Yes, which prevent hair loss. And I'll tell you how this came to me. So a dear friend of mine, Anthony Janata, who lived in Westport, called me in the last week of his life. He was struggling with pancreatic cancer.
Oh my.
And he said, Susan, I'm going to text you this bill that New York State passed, and it requires insurance companies to pay for scalp cooling therapy for people. Because imagine you have a job, you're trying to go through your chemo and look good and keep that job and keep your dignity, and keeping your hair is pretty key to doing key. All that,
I
right?
personally like my hair.
Yeah. Lovely. Love the braid today.
Thank you. Secondly, you did something which I think is incredibly important to all of us women, which is banning female mutilation.
Yes.
Cutting.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So this is something that is prevalent in different cultures, and most states around the country have banned it. They have banned surgically removing genital parts from girls and young women. And so there are actually 2,500 girls and women who are at risk of this in our state. And by being one of the few states that hasn't banned it outright, Connecticut could have become a place where a destination state, if you will, right? So good news, finally, people have been trying since 2019. Thank you, Alex Kasser, for bringing this. Alex brought it to the fore. Didn't happen. It's been in various stages of our legislative process over the past few years, but finally it passed both chambers unanimously with no debate. Thank heaven.
Beautiful.
Thank heaven. Thank heaven.
You all for doing that. I can't believe we hadn't passed that ages ago.
Yeah. Kind of crazy, huh?
And one of the last really big deals, which I think is important to all of us, which is an ICE bill. Talk to us about why this is important. I've noticed that it's preventing roundups in important spaces like schools and hospitals,
courthouses,
and churches. So, who brought this forward?
So I think this was a priority for many legislators in the state, particularly over the past year, how we've witnessed killings at the hand of ICE agents. So this bill does a couple of things. It requires ICE agents to show their faces. They can't wear masks. They have to wear ID badges on their uniforms. They have to be trained. And if they hurt or injure someone, they can be held civilly liable. This happens at the federal level. If an FBI agent injures a person, they can be held civilly liable at the federal level. Yes.
There's some accountability.
Yes. And this bill also says that it's important to have safe spaces for people. Kids shouldn't be worried when they're in school that they're going to be detained. People shouldn't be worried when they're in a church. Someone was actually deported from a church in northwestern Connecticut. And people go to courthouses for good reasons, like to testify against alleged criminals, to get a divorce, and so we didn't want people worrying when they went to hospitals or churches or schools.
Very, very important legislation. So before we wrap up, we've got just a few more minutes. I did happen to run into State Rep Ann Hughes this weekend, who said, be sure to tell the Lieutenant Governor, thank you for presiding over so many late nights, so much of it. She said, most people do not understand how much it takes to get through that. The stamina that you have is something else.
Well, we had lots of late sessions, and fortunately there was only one that went way past midnight. You know how your mother always said nothing good happens after midnight. Well, we had a debate on gun safety. The governor proposed a initiative to ban an attachment on pistols that make them automatic weapons. You'd think this would be a no-brainer, but it took from goodness the afternoon one day until 8 o'clock in the morning the next to make sure that legislation got passed to protect our residents.
I don't understand an argument about that. I can't even, and I'm pretty sure I know who was arguing against that.
Yes.
So I'm very glad you got it passed.
Thank you.
And you stuck it out till 7:30 in the morning. I did hear from your chief of staff that everybody got maybe 3 hours of sleep that night.
Oh, it was, yeah. So I think the agreement after 8 o'clock in the morning, when the debate was finished on the gun safety legislation, that everybody got to go home and take a shower and maybe a nap, and then they came back for the rest of the session, which went on until midnight. But the good news is at midnight on Sine Die Day, that's it. After at 12:01, we're done.
You're done.
We're done.
And did you actually go home and rest and relax or recuperate at all?
Not really, not really. But we're back. We're back.
You're looking good. You're looking
Thank
good.
You.
So, we've got maybe a minute and a half left. Some sort of last things you want people to be thinking about. We do have an election year coming up. You and the governor, of course, are going to be on the ballot. This will be your third term. I think it's a record-breaking term. Am I right?
I think so. I'll have to do a little. I have to consult my blue book, and third terms are unusual. Governor is one of the most popular governors in America.
You both are.
Yeah. And so I would say to people, think about election day is November 4th, I believe, and primary day is August 11th. So there will be both Democratic and Republican primaries on that day. So I mention it because everyone needs to have a plan as to how to vote. Will you mail in an absentee ballot? Will you vote early because polls are open a week before a primary and 2 weeks before the general? And we noticed lots of people have been voting by either AB or in person for the early voting. So
very, very good. I love that early voting. So just a reminder, anybody out there getting ready for it, is it August 11th, you said?
August 11th is the primary, and then the general election November 4th.
Yeah. So if you are registered, you have to be a registered Democrat or Republican to vote in a primary.
Correct. But if you're unaffiliated, you can change up until the day of the primary.
Oh, okay.
But if you have a change of heart anyway, just make sure you do that. And of course, all voters can vote in the general election.
Yeah, it's that is democracy, everybody.
Yes, it is.
That's why we're here, and we really got to protect it. So,
best way to do it is to participate by voting.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysiewicz, for being on the show with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's fun to see you. Please have me back.
Of course. It's absolutely delightful. You're listening to WGCH. We're going to go to a station break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.